Hi, I'm Anna Milevskaja, Senior Director of Product Marketing at Elastic Path. I am here with Andy Hoar, CEO and founder of Paradigm B2B. Andy, thank you so much for being here today.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I don't think anyone would argue with me that you are a celebrity in the commerce space. There isn't a person who doesn't know about you based on the great work that you've done at Forrester. And I know you moved on since then to other things, and I'd love to hear about Paradigm B2B and what you're doing there.
Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment. It sounds like the check cashed. So you want to know a little bit about Paradigm. Well, I started Paradigm about 1.5 years ago to fill a void in the space. So I was at Forrester, had a great time there, did a lot of really great research. But I found myself mostly serving enterprise clients, and I love enterprise clients, don't get me wrong, but it feels like there are a lot of options out there for enterprise clients. And what's missing is there aren't many good, high quality options for mid-market companies. And when I say mid-market companies, I don't mean tiny mom and pop companies. I'm talking about companies that have $500 million, $750 million in revenue. Companies less than $1 billion is what I consider to be mid-market. I want to put like 50 million and maybe $1 billion.
Okay.
A wide range, but there's several companies that are on the upper end of that just don't have the budget to hire the Forresters, the Gartners, or the IDCs. And so I wanted to, make sure that they had some offerings. And so I started Paradigm B2B to really, again, fill that void.
So Andy, that's a good segue to my next question is about your upcoming research report, Paradigm B2B Combine. Are you able to share a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the thing about the Combine is it's, again, another void in the marketplace that I thought was necessary to fill. So I wrote and authored several waves when I was at Forrester, and I'm intimately familiar with the Gartner Magic Quadrant. They're fine pieces of research, but in the time that I've been out of Forrester, last 1.5 years, I've had several conversations with practitioners. And if we focus on the people who are buying the technology, what they care about are things like, I need an affordable solution. It doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles, but it's got to be good enough. It's got to meet a certain threshold in maybe 2 key categories. For example, content data management, or I need it to actually fit my model from a TCO perspective.
Okay.
Who fits that? Which vendor's offering fits that? Because there's some of these things that are evaluated that, let's be honest, buyers don't care about. It depends. It's on the idiosyncrasies of each buyer. And what I have found is that for some, things like a robust shopping cart really matter. For others, they need to know that there's a world-class PIM embedded in this particular offering. Some of them absolutely want it to be an all-in-one solution. Others would prefer that it be headless, for example. So every buyer has a different set of needs. And I've just found that the research out there doesn't really tailor itself to that. It's not easy for a buyer to look at one of the other reports, which again, they're fine reports, but you can't really look at that report and say, oh, I think these guys fit my criteria perfectly. So created this idea of the Combine, which is patterned after the sporting events, right? So every major sport in the world now has a Combine, and they evaluate the potential people for the draft. And the way it works, and this is very important, nobody wins the Combine. There's no winner, right? It's just a skills assessment. And I took that same kind of analogy over to what we're doing here and just deciding, okay, who's really good at vision and strategy? Who really understands that? Who's really particularly good at execution, right? Because you might have a great vision and strategy as a vendor and the complete inability to execute on it. And vice versa. You might have all the talent in the world, but your strategy is completely wrong, right? And that's just on the non-product side. On the product side, it's even more interesting, right? Because you could have somebody who has a just world-class CMS, but then their e-commerce, their shopping cart is on the weaker side. But if I'm a buyer, I want to mix and match. Hey, I want a strong TCO, and I want somebody who's got a great content management system, but I don't really need some of the other stuff, and I don't need all the bells and whistles. So that was the idea, and the genesis behind the report was to deliver that capability to the readers.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you so much. Before we wrap up, a quick question. Where can someone find Paradigm B2B Combine Report once it's out?
Well, that's an interesting question, because the way we structured this is, like I said, the way we monetize this report is through reprints. So the people in the report, the vendors covered in the report, are going to buy reprints and make those available through their websites. We will also make a more full report available through ParadigmB2B.com, which is my website. So you can look there as well.
Thank you very much for your time, Andy. It's been a pleasure.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.